Thank you. Dr. Wenstrup.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you all for being here. You know, I love America. I think America is the place where there's more opportunity than anywhere else in the world. And it's the opportunity for people to come from nowhere and lift themselves out of poverty. But we don't do that by paying people to not work. That has no return on investment there. And we don't do it by increasing taxes so much that your business moves out of the country and all those employees are without a job. There's no return on investment there. When I see a family succeed in a business and hire people from your community, this is personal now, see? Washington doesn't see it. People that just look at numbers and hold up a piece of paper is different from actually talking to you, which is what we as members of Congress try to do, is get out there and talk to you and what makes a difference. So you do that, you get a better life for your next generation, for your family, but at the end of that, let's put them back in poverty where you started. Why do we want to do that? That makes no sense. Let's keep the business going. Let's keep hiring the next generation of people. You know, rising tide lifts all boats, unless you shoot holes in the bottom of the boat. And that's what I see ourselves doing too many times. Mr. Irvin, I love some of the work that you're doing. Cincinnati, we have Cincinnati Works. You have a record. You decide you're going to turn your life around. You go through the program at Cincinnati Works. You're a lifelong member of it. And we have companies that said when they've gone through that, we will hire them. We have a business called Nehemiah Manufacturing. They make Procter & Gamble products. Everyone there has a record. They've turned their life around. And now they're going to try and make things better for their next generation. You know, in district, we go around and we say, well, why were you able to hire more and to grow your business? What happened? Did Washington do anything? Or we might also hear, well, why did you have to cut jobs? What happened? These are the things we listen to. We don't just look at things on a piece of paper. But when I think about making America the best place in the world to do business and to work, that's what I want us to be. That's what I want us to be. Since the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, we've had zero corporate inversions, and instead we've seen American businesses bringing back their overseas earnings to fuel investment, to increase wage growth here in the United States. Maybe it's not perfect in some ways. Well, let's take a look at that, see what we can make better. That's okay. That's what we should do. Don't just look back and say, oh, it's terrible, it did this, that. No, it did a lot of good, and people know it, and I hear it from people in the district. I believe, though, as we go forward for the sake of our nation, I'm going to ask Senator Graham about this, I think when the next reform of the tax code needs to be explicitly about our supply chain and take into account our national security risks, our national health security risk. I think it's important. I've released draft legislation that would secure our critical battlefield medicines. I'm a soldier. Do this by providing powerful new incentives to locate manufacturing of these essential medical products here in the United States. And in pharmacy, all the active ingredients. We rely on China for that, an adversary. Open up our eyes, folks. We've got to incentivize these things to be back in the United States. And increasing corporate taxes is not how we're going to get it done. No one can take that risk. Senator Graham, your testimony, you said how important the 2017 reforms were to the corporate tax code and making country competitive again. This isn't 100 years ago. This isn't post-World War II. This is a different global economy today, and we need to think differently to be competitive. So besides protecting the 21% rate, what policy should Congress pursue as we approach 2025 that'll build on that progress and make it more attractive to bring business back to the United States and make us a more secure nation?
Well, you raised the point that we don't help America by paying people not to work. Let me back that point up with some statistics. In 1967, when we started to ramp up funding for the war on poverty, we were providing $9,700 worth of benefits to the average household in the bottom 20% of earners, and 67% of their prime work age persons worked. That level of benefits has now grown from $9,700 to $45,400. And what did we get for it? The labor force participation rate among prime work-age persons in the bottom 20% of income earners in America has fallen from 67% to 36%. During the pandemic, when we provided benefits up to 400% of poverty, and we provided basically welfare to middle-income Americans, what happened? The labor force participation rate fell. We can't put middle America on welfare. Somebody's got to work. And I would have to say, going back to who benefited, the income of the bottom 20% of earners in this country rose by 9.4% in the year following this tax cut in 1997. That was the largest percentage benefit of any sector of the economy. And how did they benefit? This didn't count the child tax credit you provided. They benefited by working. And again, a job is the best program. There's no substitute for it. And many of those people will never go back on welfare.
Thank you. You'll be back.